This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. It's not streaming for some reason. Why is that? Let me just pause this. Hold on. I'm just going to pause this for a second. Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. I think we're live now. Here we go. And it just looks like it's going well. I just want to make sure to check on LinkedIn, make sure we're live here. All right. And if so, I'll know in just a moment. So let's see here.
Well, we know based on the audience.
Here we go. No, we're
okay.
Good. We're good. All right. So welcome everybody to the live stream today. Weekly, we're here. Powerful partnerships. Today we're going to talk about why love matters. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And with me, as always, is the amazing Camelia Ray. Camelia, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everyone who's watching from all the platforms. Hello, LinkedIn. Happy Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day is not just for couples. It's for everyone and anyone who wants to celebrate love, single, not single, whatever it is. And that's why today our theme is why love matters.
Yeah.
So,
and again, if you're joining us, today's Valentine's Day. And so, we've been doing this every week, and we want you to get involved. So comment below, let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're calling in from. Are you from North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia? That's great. And then ask your questions and tell us kind of what you think about the topic. Because what we're talking about today is really about the idea of why love matters. Now, normally you'd say, well, it's about, when we say why love matters, what does that mean to you? And that's the question we ask. Now, obviously, there's going to be a whole aspect of relationships. If you're on LinkedIn, some of you might be looking for, relationships outside there. Some of you may have sought the expertise of someone who's an executive matchmaker like Carmelia. But I think talking about love and relationships, how they are in our lives is important. But I also use the title of Why Love Matters to apply to love in your job and love in your business and love in your partnership, love with your team and love with self-care, with love with self-care. And that's part of it too. So I think it's a two-way approach here. We talk about love in our work, but also love outside of work. And so this is a time for us to talk about relationships, and Valentine's Day is a good time to talk about those things, whether it's, being grateful for the love we have. Like, I'm married and my wife and I celebrate 20 years together. And so that's great. And so for us, Valentine's is good. But for other people who don't have that or are struggling, that's another place where we want to address those concerns. And I want to start first off by saying, because this is on LinkedIn live stream, LinkedIn is not a place to be soliciting for love and relationships. Let me make that really clear, because it's a huge problem on the platform. There's a lot of misogyny and people who do that, particularly to all my women colleagues here, and that must stop. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you can't, as an executive and whatever you're looking for, you can't find tools and use experts like Camelia to help you find love outside the workplace and outside of LinkedIn. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today. So with that, I'd love for Camelia to actually introduce herself, because I think she's an amazing person to speak to the topic today, and I'm looking forward to getting her insights. Camelia, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And we are also on Clubhouse. I'll post the link on the Clubhouse profile for those who want to do this audio. And we are doing this every week. Again, this is Powerful Partnerships. Bobby and I created this partnership because we want to combine our resources and our audiences to talk about something that we believe so strongly in, right? In powerful partnerships, both in romantic relationships, also in business relationships. And to your point, I want to talk about that a little bit more, Bobby. We're talking about why love matters. And I know that you feel strongly that, on LinkedIn, of course, it's not a dating app, right? You don't solicit yourself on a LinkedIn or professional platform. However, I do believe that if you have a curiosity about someone, and that if there is a romantic context or interest, the first thing you want to do, especially on a professional platform, is to, explore more and engage. If you want somebody's attention on LinkedIn, right? You want to engage with their content. You want to take a look at where they are on other platforms. So if let's say I want to explore you, Bobby Umar, I'm going going to look at all your links. I'm going to go to Twitter. When I go to your Facebook, I'm going to realize you're a happily married man. Like, I'm going to have a crush on Bobby because you know, I love what he's up to and I think he's great and oh my God, he's so cute. And then I just look, but I'm like, okay, he's married, off limits. And I think that that's a really great you know, reminder to people that you don't make assumptions about someone, and that yes, LinkedIn is not an appropriate place to hit on somebody, but you can, I do believe that on any platform, if you are wanting to connect with somebody, you want to do your diligence. If they do have an Instagram, maybe you message them on Instagram DM and you say, hey, I actually saw you on LinkedIn and I was curious to know, you know, if I'm interested in learning more about you, right? It's all in the way that you phrase it. Because Bobby, I'll say this, I get a lot of inquiries because of course it says I'm an executive matchmaker or celebrity matchmaker. I work on dating apps, and sometimes people will approach me that way. But yeah, it's a little off-putting. It's like that cold email. Hey, you're, you know, do you want? They're selling you something, right? To that point, Bobby, how annoying is it when you're not asking for advice, but they're like, you know what? This sucks about your social media. I can help you improve that. That's a horrible way to approach someone. And I think that's why it's really important to do your research.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to talk with it. I mean, yes, you should not be soliciting people for relationships on LinkedIn, but it's just like the workplace, right? So treat LinkedIn as a workplace, right? So you go to work and someone's in their cubicle, someone's in the office, whatever, or even someone's in the cafeteria. You don't go solicit them for dates. Now, particularly people you don't know. Now, what happens is you do research. Like as you build relationships with people, like professional relationships with people, maybe you work with someone, you're both lifeguards, and maybe you work with someone in the office, or maybe you work you have met a client or one of your partners, and you have meetings. And after a while, you feel like you get to know them pretty well, and then maybe you are at a function outside, and then maybe it turns into a conversation. And yeah, see, that's where things can happen, but it's in a more respectful, appropriate way. And similar with social media, yeah, you could do research. You get to know them on LinkedIn. You do research on Instagram or Twitter. You're engaging back and forth. Maybe it turns into a Zoom call, and whether the Zoom call is a personal Zoom call, or whether or a personal coffee date, or it's a professional one, make it really, really clear. And that's kind of where you can start to explore that possibility. I think that what people do wrong is they automatically assume that this is how you do it unsolicited, and that becomes a big problem. But when you build trust with somebody and a work colleague, and that's a question I'm going to ask you too, because I think a lot of people in workplaces that, let's say, they've known each other for a couple of years and they don't know whether to, and then like, how do they go to that next level, but how do they do it appropriately? I mean, I think that's a huge question, because I would have very, very, I'd be very trepidatious about that. So like, how would you explain that?
I want to point to something that a colleague wanted me to comment on, actually.
Okay.
It was Yeshim, I think, that we both know on Clubhouse. She sent this to me. It says, when Cupid takes aim at coworkers, Cupid's arrow has been hitting coworkers more during the pandemic. A survey released ahead of Valentine's Day by the Society for Human Resource Management found 1/3 are or have been romantically involved with a colleague, up from 27% pre-pandemic. But workplace romances are trickier when there is a power differential, and if they aren't reported in a timely manner. Notes writer and digital strategist Elizabeth Spears in her guest essay for the New York Times. Spears, who calls her own successful office romance a brilliant mistake, writes that formal and informal boundaries are necessary, and if adhering to rules cuts against some core aspects of human nature. All right, so it's so interesting that we're talking about this and you brought that up. Number one, workplace romance can go either way. All right. You definitely want to speak to human resources when you're working for a Fortune 500. Like, maybe if it's small business, may have different rules, but especially when there is a seniority difference. I don't care if you're the boss and you're a male and you're a female. This is really not about gender. However, when we experienced the Me Too movement back when it was all over the place, I think there were a lot of men that were terrified to work in close quarters with, women. And then, of course, that workplace romance was definitely a lot of eyeballs. People were saying, never, never do that. So, one of my I guess advice or suggestions, Bobby, is that if you are thinking about a workplace romance, you absolutely want to weigh out your pros and cons, right? You also definitely want to kind of future forecast. How close are you working with this person? What are you going to do when there's an argument? Can you be honest with yourself and ask, can I actually keep my workplace romance separate from my personal romance, right? How are you going to deal with control issues or gossip around the water cooler, inappropriate behavior? Like, you've got to really figure out those things. And also, are you going to talk to your coworkers? Are there rules about that? Because people sometimes they don't talk about these things in advance. Well, why did you tell Sally that, I left the toilet seat up yesterday? Like, that's none of her business. And now people are bringing their personal life into their workplace. I think it takes an incredible amount of trust to do that. And you have to ask yourself, what is it going to be like if this person and I are no longer romantically linked? You have to be thinking about those things. What do you think, Bobby?
Well, I'm glad you brought the power differential, because I think that, if someone's your boss or boss's boss, I mean, that to me is a big issue. And probably, it's something that I remember actually years ago in the corporate space, there was an issue with someone starting a relationship, and they went to HR, and because the person was directly in the chain of command, they said that it wouldn't be appropriate, and so they had to have someone had to move, and they both, as a potential couple, agreed that one would move into a different apartment, so there wouldn't be a reporting structure there. And so once they did that, they then eventually got together and they got married, and years later, and it's fine. So I think, yes, going to HR is really important, to being mindful of the power structures. And I think that, what's interesting during the pandemic, I think that people have, because of working in close proximity, maybe over Zoom or whatnot, but they get to know each other better. I think we've spent time in COVID in intimate settings. Like, here I am in my living room, and people are each other's basement or home offices or kitchens or dining room tables. And so I think there's a personal familiarity there, which actually, adds to that. So, but to your point, I think you've done a really good job of outlining what are the things you have to be mindful of, and be trepidatious. And also, if you meet somebody and you
like,
think
proceed with caution, right? Like,
proceed with caution, absolutely. But also just be very transparent about this with the managers, things like that. I mean, maybe you can ask your boss, like, what do you think? And, I'm concerned about that, but you should never just approach somebody without actually knowing what the rules and guidelines are and protocols of the organization. Absolutely.
Yeah, and and there are some workplaces where it's not allowed. And I've had scenarios where, Bobby, their attraction for each other and their commitment to having that relationship work had one person, as you said, which one of us is going to request the transfer? Like, is it you or is it me? And it's happened. It's like, okay, I'll quit my job because you are my person. Like, that's okay. But in doing that as well, is that the best career move for you, right? And what are you sacrificing at the end of the day? And is that going to come back and kind of bite you in the butt or haunt the other person? You never want to have this resentment that, oh, well, you made me quit my job and now this happens. So you really have to weigh out those pros and cons. And that's when love really matters, because you've got to figure out, is that transition and change going to, at the end of the day, is your love strong enough? And how well do you know this person, right?
And let me ask you,
7 billion people, like, you got to fall in love with the guy.
Now, let me ask something though, like, when we talk about why love matters, and particularly with your focus on executives and professionals, like, so there are people on LinkedIn who, maybe are divorced, or maybe they haven't found the one they want, and they're at a high level in their firm or their business, whatever. Maybe you can talk a bit about why love matters and also what they can do about it, since you actually coach people on this.
Can you repeat the question again, Bobby? My apologies.
Number one, I want you to kind of address, why does love matter for these people who are at the high levels of executives, and also how would you help them? How would you actually help them? What should they be doing in order to find somebody?
You know, at the end of the day, I think love is a big driver for so many people. And now that could be romantic love, it could be love of self. Primary is very, very important, right? All the money in the world isn't going to buy you happiness. And that's one of the reasons why at the core, love matters. Again, when you think of love and being in love and loving your people or loving your job, you're going to treat each person, each situation, each negotiation with kindness, with respect. Like, you think about the things that you associate with love. Everybody's definition of love is different. But when you love somebody, you make sacrifice. You understand, you forgive, you use kindness, there's empowerment, there's support. And that's why love matters. As executives, if you lack love, you lack empathy, and you are narcissistic or a sociopath, right? Because you lack the basic, like you literally think about sociopaths, think about narcissists. I mean, they're self-centered. They don't care about other people. They don't care if you're wasting their time. I just finished watching the Tinder Swindler, guys. One of the most interesting, crazy shows, documentaries I've seen on Netflix. Have you heard of this, Bobby?
I haven't heard of this one. No, tell me more about it.
Okay, so the Tinder Swindler is an example of a person who has zero love, zero empathy. He basically cons women all at the same time to believe that he's madly in love with them, and he successfully embezzles and launders millions of dollars from all the different women. In this case, probably about $500,000 between 3 of these women who he pretended to be someone else. Okay. But clearly he had no regard for their consequences. He put them through a lot of stress and drama while he's whining and dining this one. The other one's worried about her life. It's crazy. You guys got to watch the show. And you got to be careful as well, because the person that you see, figure out your values. Don't be impressed by somebody's success and their wealth and things like that. If you're so easily impressed by those things, and I'm not saying these women were, but sometimes you got to think with your mind and not with your fantasy and with your and with just your emotions. Because when we are in love, the brain goes a little bit cuckoo, right? Like, we have these rose-colored glasses on. I've been there many times where I see no fault. Oh my God, that's okay. That's forgivable. Like, no worries. He can be a jerk to this person. But of course, that was my younger days when I had not matured and didn't realize what really matters and what counts. So love matters always. As an executive, as a CEO, I think when you lack love and when you're not making decisions based on love, you are going to end up cheating people, lying to people, manipulating people, and now you've got a different motive. In the absence of love, there's all of the reverse things. There's hatred, envy, criticism, resentment. So I just can't think of a better day today to celebrate love, and a great day today to reflect on what is it that you want out of your career. What do you want? What do you want to have more of, to fall in love with what you're doing and to fall in love with self? Who do you need to remove, and what do you need to remove from your life that's going to bring you more of that great energy? And I think this is such an important conversation. And not a lot of people are comfortable talking about love because they're vulnerable, or it really triggers people. I'm extremely empathetic, so I can get very charged and highly impacted when I see things or harm that's doing to other people, and it's hard to go down that path. I've got to pull myself out sometimes and focus on, okay, let's focus on positive. Otherwise, I am just going to worry about my kids all day. I'm going to worry about making money. I'm going to worry about my health, because there are so many things out of our control, Bobby.
Yeah, and I love what you said about how, if love actually impacts positively all things you're working on. So love makes you a better leader. That's one big believer in heart leadership. So when you incorporate love into your work, you're incorporating values of kindness, empathy, compassion, honesty, and trust. If you actually have love, then that's also going to accelerate and enhance the empathy, the love, the compassion, the kindness in your work and the people you work with. I know that, when I got married and when I also had kids, my heart kind of exploded, and people noticed it in the workplace. They're like, "Oh, Bobby, you just like you're so, what's going on? You're normally a pretty positive guy, but now you just feel you're like floating." I'm like, "Yeah, well, like I'm a dad and I have a wife I love, everything's great." Like I was just
You.
feeling, yeah, I was just feeling that, and I think that that's an important piece for people to understand about how love matters, and really, the more love you have in your life, the better you're going to be. And the last thing I want to say is that one of the things that I've seen when it comes to working with people over these years, whether it's powerful partnership, businesses, client, coach, corporate people, whatever it might be, there's always three things we want more of. Okay, we want more. We always want better health if we can get it. We always want more. I don't want to say money, but like something that where we're always wanting to either make more money or more financial freedom, or get that next job or that promotion. And then the other thing we want more of is we want more love. And so, those are the three things that we want to do better at, so that it enhances everything relates to one of those three things. Something about money,
I,
something about health, something about love. And so
yeah,
if one of those things is love, then it's a good investment to make it happen for yourself.
I love that when you think of that triangle, right?
Yeah.
The love, money, health. Those are all the things that people, invest in most. We
And stress
invest
out about the most.
Yes, we stress
Right.
that we invest most in our relationships,
Yeah.
whatever our relationship with self, massive investment. And if you're not doing that, I highly recommend you get a coach, you figure that out. We invest. Look, I just bought myself this watch, this health watch, right?
Okay.
Because
Got my
the
Fitbit.
the Fitbit, yeah, the Sense 3, and it's like, oh my God, I have this 10,000 step thing that I'm doing, and now I'm figuring out my calories, and I'm like, because health is so important. This is a milestone year for me. I'm leaving my 40s. Let's just put it that way. I'm leaving my 40s. So this is a milestone year for me. And so, yeah, I want to invest more in my health. And then, of course, relationships, right? Relationships is my business. And I have my own close personal relationships that I have to manage and I need to deal with. It's not, and it's never an easy road, Bobby. And I think the more that you can have love be at the center of your workplace, including the center of your home, I think finding that balance is going to be important. And to your point, Bobby, who was it? It was Sheryl Sandberg. I say it all the time. I believe it's on a lot of my copy, and I quote her almost every day. The most important career choice you'll make is the person you marry or the person that you are romantically involved in. Because think about it, when you and your wife are not having a great day, or you might have that occasional fight. I don't know how often you argue, but you guys seem like two peas in a pod. But when you have those breakdowns, all marriages go through a breakdown. That breakdown happen, like you don't feel good, you don't want to eat well, you might fall to your vices, and then at work your energy is just displaced, and now you're not your chipper Bobby self. You can always tell when someone's having a bad day.
Oh yeah.
At home, right?
Yeah, and absolutely, and like that my marriage is the most powerful partnership I've ever had. And sometimes we forget about that, because as someone who's been married for now 20 years, and I've already crossed 50, I turned 51 last week. So
Oh,
one of the things that
I didn't wish you a birthday party.
that's
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
That's okay. Well, what happens is that I realize now that we spend a lot of time with the kids. We don't realize that when the kids are gone, we're still married forever. It's like ideally.
Yes.
So we gotta, while the kids are around, it's really busy and stressful. We gotta work on the love between us two, go on those date nights, do those things. I'm happy actually to announce that people don't know this, but my wife and I, when we got married, we were poor and broke. She was in school, I didn't have a job, and I talked about this actually in a post on LinkedIn. And so we didn't really go on a honeymoon. And then 10 years, our 10-year anniversary, we had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I had left the corporate world and started my business. So we didn't have very much money then either. And now we're actually going away for our first ever trip together since the kids. We're going, 20 year. We're going to Costa Rica this summer, and I'm very, very excited about that. So,
Oh my goodness. What
yeah,
an amazing
I'm
story.
super excited about it. So I think that partnership is really important. I have two things I want to ask you. So number one, I want you to talk a bit about the event you're doing tonight, because again, I want to promote you. We're a partnership too, so I want to promote you on that.
Yes.
And the
Okay.
second thing, so do that one. But the second thing I want you to address is, I want you to help us understand what executives, like seasoned executives and business owners, what do they struggle the most with when it comes to finding that executive, like that love? What do they struggle with most?
And what I'm going to do as well is I am going to post the link to my
Clubhouse.
Yeah,
the Fireside.
to,
Yeah.
to the Fireside app. So tonight I have a show called Matchmaker Monday, and it is the first show that I have on Fireside app, and it'll be my first real experience doing that. So I'm going to send it actually to you, Bobby, and
Okay.
maybe you can copy paste because you're doing all the LinkedIn stuff. So I just sent that to you. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do that.
And as far as the question about executives, what's the question there?
Well, I mean, the executives, I mean, what stops them from seeking love? Like, why do they struggle so much, and why do they need your services? Like, why do they struggle to find love, and why do they need your services? That's what I'm curious about. And again, I'm here to support you. You're my partner, so that's a big piece for me. I mean, today is the day that you should get the spotlight. So please
thank
go
you.
ahead.
And I have had a lot of spotlight today, and I sent a newsletter out this morning to my community about today. And with regards to executives, think about it. When you are a busy professional and you have we're talking big responsibilities, obviously C-level executives, business owners, entrepreneurs who have a massive amount of responsibility also devote a great amount of time to their work. Now, the people who typically approach me are those that do spend a lot of time at their craft, on their work, with their kids. So there isn't a lot of free time to go out and date. And even if they did, the other piece to that is they're very selective and they want to meet somebody at their level. Now, may not now do all executive men who make millions of dollars or six figures want someone at their level? Not necessarily. I know the women do appreciate that somebody is same or more, but they definitely want someone who can understand the lifestyle and also understand their responsibilities. So big reason that they would come to me is a lack of time. The second thing is an expansion of their network. As you know, Bobby, you've built quite a following here on LinkedIn as well as Twitter. Over 500,000 people. It takes years to build that kind of presence and following. And I've been a matchmaker for years. So my connections are other matchmakers, other love professionals, other experts. So if somebody is working with me, I also get to leverage my connections and my social media and my contacts to introduce them to people that they would just never have the chance to meet. Most of the people who I introduce to one another, they're operating in their own bubble, in their own circle, in their own territories, and they never would ever cross paths. They need to be introduced. It's a facilitation or introduction. That's what a matchmaker does, is to bridge the gap. The biggest comparison I can make it is like, I'm a personal love recruiter, right? You tell me what you need, and we figure out how we can attract and find that person that is going to match with you. And so it's really about as well getting out of their own circle. Think about it, Bobby. If, and God forbid, your marriage is intact, it's great. But if for some reason, all of a sudden you're single, and most people who get divorced, many times it's unwanted, right? They didn't want to get divorced, right, but a circumstance or situation happened. And then it's like, okay, my friends are coupled, they're married. I don't have as many single friends. And that's another reason, Bobby, is because their network is mainly families. And this also happens for young people like 30s, and maybe they feel like I'm going to baby showers and I'm going to weddings, but nothing's happening for me. And so that's the reason why they would do the look at working with a matchmaker.
I appreciate that. And guys, listen, if you're listening to this after the replay, and you have questions, just comment below, tag Carmela and I, and we can sort of answer those questions. Next week, and what we do is we do 30 minutes here, and then we move to Clubhouse for a little bit more to talk about with you guys so you can actually ask questions. And next week, we're talking about how to manage and resolve conflict. That's going to be next week at 2 p.m. every Monday. And if you want to get access to the event, I'll be posting about it on Wednesdays. And you can just follow me and Carmela. What I recommend you do, go to our profiles, click follow, then you ring the bell so you get notified of whenever we create content or post event. And that way we'll be able to see you here next week for our conversation.
Yes. I want to say that next week's conversation, we are talking about how to manage and resolve conflict in partnerships. And we're going to do that. We always talk about both the professional partnerships, and I will give some tips on how to do that in your romantic partnership. And both Bobby and I can share about that because we both run businesses. We both have partnerships, both at home and in the workplace. So I think it'll be a great discussion. Bring your questions on resolving conflict, or if you have a conflict you want us to work out and resolve, that might be interesting. If you want to be a guest with us live and have us help you with that conflict resolution, that's a free, 10-minute session that we can try to help you resolve. I used to run a show called Date Court, where people would bring their dating dilemmas, and we try to help them out with our experts. So definitely do that. And I hope to see you guys on Fireside when this ends. I'll post the link for those who want to show up. And Bobby, as always, enjoy my time with you. I'll wait to see you on Clubhouse. And thanks all for your participation. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Happy Valentine's Day. See you in Clubhouse now. Bye.